Lahore Qalandars managing to secure that final spot in those playoffs with that fabulous win. They were required to deliver under pressure. Remember, it was a knockout game and we saw a clinical performance in all three departments. A huge congratulations to them. But this is how things turned out for them. In case you guys have just joined in, Lahore Qalandars making 149 for 8 in their 13 overs. Remember, it was a shortened game due to the rain. Fakhar Zaman once again at the top, blistering knock of 60 in just 36 balls. Naeem also chipping in, seems to be getting some form just at the right time. Peshawar Zalmi in response, falling short. We had not many impressive performances overall from their side. Lots of dropped catches as well. Lots to discuss in this post-show. But overall, a great day for Lahore Qalandars because they won by 26 runs, which also means that they have qualified. This is how the table stands at this point. Quetta Gladiators right at the top with 15 points. And we will be seeing Karachi Kings in action once again. That spot, of course, we're talking about which team gets a bite at the cherry twice. So that final spot that we're talking about. So tomorrow is going to be an important game as well. But overall, like I said, it's a day that has belonged to Lahore Qalandars. They needed to deliver today. It was a knockout game with all the pressure. A lot of support for Peshawar Zalmi here in Rawalpindi as well. But they really did come on top when it mattered. So, hello and welcome to Pitchside once again. I've got a very, very special guest here with me. Someone who's really contributed to all the winning moments of Lahore Qalandars. Sikandar Raza joins us alongside Alistair Cook. Thank you so much for joining us, Sikandar. Firstly, initial thoughts on Lahore Qalandars qualifying. It was an important game. They had to. There was a lot of pressure and a lot of drama as well because 13 overs, there was a lot of rain. So, just talk us through initial thoughts on the qualification.
Yeah, certainly very happy. Certainly a box ticked. We had a game rained off against Quetta as well. Our initial plan or initial hope was to try and qualify in top 2, but we found ourselves in those situations where we have to win a do and die game. But I think the way we have won the game certainly gives us a lot of confidence going forward. And the team, we basically got all the games that are do and die. So imagine by the time we get to the final, we've got 3 do and die games. And if you do well there and get yourself to the final, certainly we are more prepared than anyone else.
Qalandars has been, inconsistent. They've won some, they've lost some. And really, it is about those crunch moments like we saw today. The game had its significance where if you didn't play well, then you'd be knocked out. So what's been the talk amongst the management, the leadership? How do you sort of regroup and make sure that you deliver on a day when it's a knockout stage?
So there hasn't been much chat from the management. I think they leave everything to the players. And from the players' point of view, I remember being in the team meeting and all I said was that the team that panics second normally wins the game. So whatever happens, we take one ball at a time, whether you're batting, whether you're bowling, and whether you're fielding. And the reality of the matter is, this is a pressure game. And if we accept that, we'll be able to deal with it better. It's nice to say, oh no, it's just another game, but it's not another game. Let's play this game, and it's just not another game. Because the learnings, the experience, the growth of a cricketer when it's a do and die game, for me that it is a lot more faster and important for a player's growth. So if you do well, the learnings from today will go a long way for everyone.
Well, Lahore had a great start today. We'll go back to the beginning of the day. Baba won the toss and bowled first. What would you guys have done?
We said that we're going to bat first. So what we found was that the wicket was slightly on the slower and lower side when we watched the day game, but we understood that the sun is out, so it could have been that. But when the rain came, we said to ourselves, if there's any chance for a ball to come onto the bat a bit better, it will be certainly in the first inning. So our plan was to, had we won the toss, our plan was to bat first.
Well, we've also got to talk about Fakhar Zaman because he's been instrumental in bringing Lahore to this point. And, in the last few HBLPSL seasons as well, he's been somebody who's really delivered at the top and set the momentum. How important is his role? How integral is he to this Qalandars franchise?
Qalandars would not be where we are without Fakhar Zaman. And if I have to sum it up, I think that is how I see it. Fakhar Bhai is an integral part of this team, is the heart of this team, is one of the first few pillars that this Qalandars set up, achieving success and all that. So if I have to sum it up, Zainab, all I would say this Qalandar family would not be where we are without Fakhar Zaman, and not just as a cricketer but as a human being as well.
Absolutely. We talk about, having that kind of character, Alistair. And it's so important to have that kind of character on and off the field, because when you talk about Fakhar Zaman, he's got that impact.
Well, I thought Lahore today had that impact from ball one. You know, Luke Wood, who's been so influential, taking wickets in the first over. His first over set the tone really, because went for 2 sixes and you guys were flying. Was that? I was worried that you might ease yourself into this game a little bit because they played last night. You know, you had a 10-day break. Did you speak about how you wanted to start that first 4-5 overs?
So it wasn't much to do with starting the first over, but it was certainly that we're going to throw the first punch rather than wait for them to throw a punch at us. We have had a game against the Peshawar Zalmi. We knew that Luke is a fantastic bowler, swings the ball in. So our initial plan was that if there is no swing, then try and go hard at him. I don't think so. It swung a lot today, and I think those are a few reasons that we ended up scoring. But otherwise, Luke is a fantastic bowler, and he's had great success at this PSL.
Now, the belief in Mohammad Naeem seems to be also coming through, because he's one guy who sort of struggled at the beginning of the tournament. But like I said, the belief has paid off.
To be honest with you, we never lost our belief. I know the people on social media and maybe on TV lost the belief because he had few failures. Imagine how tough it is for an emerging guy who has not had a lot of professional cricket to come straight to PSL and then face all those quality bowlers that Pakistan and overseas has to bring. So we never lost any belief because he was there with us at the camp, and we saw his quality, we saw his talent. We never lost any ability, and now all those people who were questioning him were basically saying their praises. So for me personally, I was never in doubt. As a Kalandar family, we were never in doubt. And to be honest with you, just to see his success, he's a fantastic human being, a quality cricketer, a hard-working cricketer, put his heart on the sleeve for his team. There's many more successes for him, inshallah, in future.
You only bowled 1 over today.
That was more than enough.
But you got the crucial wicket. Now, actually, when you got Babar out, you bowled a real low arm. Was that a deliberate ploy, or did you just feel as if he was going to go at you and you thought that you might be able to slide under his pad?
Yeah, so when I was batting with Fakhar, and Fakhar was getting a little bit frustrated, and he said, I'm the set batter, but I'm struggling to hit. And my first answer to him was, Fakhar, is not you. I think with an old ball, the ball is actually skidding low, so it's really hard to time. And by the time I came on to bowl, that sort of message was in my head that it's going to be very hard for a low skidding ball to go over fielder's head. So had he not got out to that ball in my head, because I bowled a knuckle at the first one and the quicker one the second one, I was going to bowl 3 more of those because that was my reading of the wicket, and I thought it gives me the best chance to either close the over out or get a wicket.
That's what I was going to ask you, like if that hadn't worked then, because it's a game of small margins. He got caught on the boundary or he hit it 5 yards, probably where he wanted it, go for 6. Would you have carried on? You said you would have carried on.
I would have carried on. Unless he's hit one convincingly, for me to change something, if somebody has hit a shot and he spliced it and landed in the gap, or is just cross rope and there was a half a chance, I'm going to back that ball again. But the reason I was going to back that ball was because the wicket was slow and skidding low, so that is why some were holding the surface and stuff. But for me, the biggest thing was that if I bowl a low arm ball, it's going to go lower and it's going to be hard to get under that ball.
Now, you've got all the experience in the world. You've been playing, obviously, cricket. And one of the things about franchise cricket is the kind of experience and knowledge that you can impart to some of the youngsters. So somebody like Mohammad Naeem, have you had a chance to have some conversations with him or just, help him along the way in his journey?
I think all of us help one another. I mean, I need some help as well at times. I always rely on Fakhar. I always rely on the senior guys. I always speak to Shane. Sometimes when I have studied the wicket and I think this might work, and I'll speak to Fakhar and says, what are the strengths of this batter? While I have watched his videos, but what do you think? Because it's one thing to watch a video, but it's another thing to play with or against somebody. So even I need help. With Naeem, all I try and make sure that he's relaxed and he follows what he does at the nets, rather than get caught in the show that we put on. Try and keep yourself calm, keep your thoughts clean. Just think about what you have done at the nets and try and back that process rather than let the stage dictate what you need to do. Dictate the stage.
Well, I mean, it's also your last game for Lahore Qalandars because you're joining Zimbabwe now. So just sum up your journey with the Kalandars so far, and hope you've enjoyed your time here.
All I would say is that some goodbyes are really tough. PSL and leaving Lahore is suddenly one of those tough goodbyes for me. But I take immense honor, and it's a huge honor for me to represent Zimbabwe at any given stage. So the only reason the pain is not a lot for leaving Lahore Qalandars is because I'm going to represent my country. That is, for me, is an ultimate honor. And that's what I'm looking forward to now.
Good experience overall, though, like with Lahore Qalandars. I mean, you know, it's you almost become like a family when you've been playing together for such a long time.
I think that's got nothing to do with me. I think the culture and people at Lahore Qalandars are so welcome and loving and caring and respectful that you are forced to become a family, and it's nothing to do with me. It's just that everybody in that changing room accepted me as who I am, what I brought to the table, backed me, supported me through my failures, and you know, they have done everything for me that any cricketer could ask for. And for me, it's a huge honor that I've been playing for Lahore Qalandars for 3 years, and let's see what happens in future.
Well, the challenge of modern cricketer, you're on the plane tonight off to England, said to play at Trent Bridge. I mean, what are you going to do in the next 3 days to prepare for what would be an amazing occasion at Trent Bridge?
So what I did, I bowled, in 3 days I bowled 40 overs with a red ball. I got a Duke with me when I was coming. So I got a couple of Duke balls with me. So after my Lahore Qalandars T20 training, I went into the nets and I've bowled 40 odd overs in 3 days. So it is what it is. All I have to do, I've had one batting session that I batted for 30 minutes with a red ball when we got ourselves to the ground when the sunlight was still out. I didn't want to practice red ball under lights. So what I've got to do is I land tomorrow, and then I've got 2 days of training, try and put my heart and soul for my country and prepare as best as I can. I know it's not ideal, but unfortunately the situation we found ourselves weren't ideal as well. So you make the best what you find yourself in. So the next 2 days, try and work more than anybody else, because I'm the one that needs to catch up, not the rest of my team, because they've just played a 4-day. So try and put everything that I have in those training sessions and be as best prepared as I can be.
Well, Sikandar, we know that you wear your heart on your sleeve and you're extremely passionate about cricket in general. But thank you so much for your time. All the best for the Test match, and yeah, hope to see you again next year in the HBLPSL. And that was Sikandar Raza there for you. Alistair, you can stay here because we need you to talk us through exactly what happened in this game. So yeah, we'll take a short break, a little bit of a breather, and catch you guys on the other side. Back on pitch side, talking about Lahore Qalandars and how they've made it into the playoffs. It was an important game for them to win, and that's what we saw overall, a clinical performance by them. Arooj Mumtaz joins us on pitch side. Arooj, great win for Lahore Qalandars, exactly what was required of them. A bit of pressure as well because it's a knockout stage. So good to see them now playing in, we'll be seeing them in Lahore once again.
Yeah, I think from a tournament point of view, they most probably will take on Karachi and Lahore, so that is going to be a thriller. But I just felt that from the very first ball, it was Lahore Qalandars who just had the better, or got the better of Peshawar Zalmi. Every time Peshawar Zalmi tried to claw back, they shot themselves in the foot. They were atrocious in the field with the catching. Ground fielding wasn't impeccable either. And then every time they got a wicket, they just weren't able to pick one after the other. I thought Fakhar Zaman, impact player, big match player, and he teed off from the right ball, and then Naeem joined in the party. So I just felt they gave away far too many Peshawar, and when the chase came around, they weren't good enough.
Yeah, Peshawar gave far too many and they dropped far too many as well, Cookie.
They did. In that interview, Raza said about throwing the first punch, and they did that straight away. They were on the money. I was worried that 10 days off, they might ease their way into it. They came out firing, and basically, I almost thought by the end of that first power play, the game was done. I think Naeem got out in the fourth over, and they had 54 runs on the board. They shocked Baza and Baba and his team, and there was no way back from it. They in the field, you talked about the drop catches, and I think that was because they were so shocked how hard Lahore came out and played some great shots as well. It wasn't slogging. There were some clean hitting from both the openers, and there was just no way back. It was a disappointing performance from Zelmi, but I think credit to Lahore for putting him under that much pressure so early on that suddenly the game was pretty much done in that first 20 minutes.
And those first 20 minutes definitely belonged to somebody like Fakhar Zaman, who's been really impactful for Lahore Qalandars over the years. Every time he scores, their winning percentage increases as well. He's also the second highest six hitter in the competition so far, but time to have a look at some of his boundaries.
Yeah, you don't take him out of the situation, especially when the going gets tough. And no matter what shirt he's wearing, he teed off right from the get-go. Dealt with sixes, boundaries, and he's that sort of a player who's obviously developed into a 360 player. But when he gets it in his arc, and along with that, he's also developed the offside play. So it's a little bit of deft touch, muscle through the offside. But couple that with the big hits, it's difficult to keep him out of the game.
Yeah, the ball skidded on beautifully, but every time he went for his big shot, he absolutely timed it. And it's only his first 40 balls, first 45 runs or so. He was in so much control. I think he lost his shape a little bit towards the end. He tried to hit the ball too hard, but actually the impact was done. And a great partnership up at the beginning. And what do we say about big game players? They make it count in big moments.
He's just got so much power as well, Rouge. You know, Pakistan often talks about, you know, power hitters and everything, but just having that kind of an explosive opener at the top, Lahore is at such a huge advantage.
You hit the nail on the head, Zainab, when you said every time he scores, the percentage of Lahore wins drastically jumps. And that's the kind of player you need at the top. You're never going to tie him down. The good thing about Fakhr, he's not going to chew up a lot of deliveries either. In a 13 over a side game, you anyways don't have time. But even then, and what he's done off late in the past couple of years, obviously he's been out in national colours for a while as well. I just feel he's developed into more of a rounded player. There's not a lot of slogging, which probably was the case initially. Even into the leg side, he can even clip the ball, he can time the ball, and he can pack a punch. And through the offside, even those couple of boundaries we saw, just waited on the ball to maybe some deft touches, maybe some nice strokes through the offside. So sort of player who is very difficult to bowl to, but he's got brilliant hand-eye coordination. Doesn't look conventional, so you always feel as a bowler you're in the game, but his hand-eye coordination is pretty spectacular.
Well, Kalandars today was certainly helped by some of the fielding that was at display by Peshawar Zalmi today. A few drops by them, rather lackluster. And, you know, Babar Azam really gave a specific mention to that in his post-match interview as well. It certainly was the turning point of the game.
Well, you can't give good players chances. And Zelmi did that. This is the first one, a very, very takeable catch for the keeper. Drop down, and kind of drop catches can spread. It can be like a bit like a disease. This actually was probably the hardest one of the lot, but still should be taken at this level in crucial games. It was windy, so there's something about this ground, maybe, because there's been a lot of drop catches. I've been here for 2 games now, 3 games now, and it's almost about 50-50, but I think in this game in particular, the pressure got to Zelmi in the field, and it hindered them. You cannot give people like Fakhr chances like this time and time again, because they're going to hurt you. And we saw at the end, when they did take the wickets, stop the run rate.
What is it about those dropped catches though, Cookie? Is it a case of pressure in a knockout stage? Is it the lights? I mean, this surely has to be some reason why you're seeing so many dropped catches.
Well, the lights might have something to do with it. And until you actually go out there yourself and have a go at it, you won't quite understand. But today, in this game, it was the pressure. Lahore came out and just put so much pressure on Peshawar, they couldn't handle it. And then when that first drop went down, you know, you almost saw everyone else go, oh my God, don't come to me. And as soon as you got that thought in your mind as a fielder, you don't want the ball to come to you, you're in trouble. And that's what it looked like. They looked like they were so shell-shocked, and they're standing on the edge of the ring or edge of the boundary saying, please don't let the ball come to me. Don't let the ball come to me. And actually, Lahore, when they fielded, I know when you're ahead of the game, it's a lot easier. But they put the pressure on, and that's what knockout cricket can do. And unfortunately, they all have to look at themselves and say, we didn't perform under the pressure.
Well, if they've got power at the top in the form of Fakhr Zaman, they've also got power lower down the order in the form of Asif Ali. We got to see some great hitting overall in this game, especially from Lahore Qalandars. Time to see some of those sixes.
Yeah, it was important to keep the momentum going, created on the top by Naeem and Fakhr Zaman. Asif Ali, he's known for his big striking, and he got a few to fly off.
Speaking of Lahore Qalandars, we obviously talk about, Fakhr Zaman at the top, Cookie, but having somebody like Mohammad Naeem, we've seen a bit of him while you've been here for the HBLPSL, but we were talking to Sikandar Raza and he was talking about how the management continuously sort of backed him. How important is that? You know, sometimes players do have initial failures, but to see that kind of backing.
Well, 2020 is the game where you have to go out and put your past performances away and play the situation right in front of you. It's a really challenging thing because you can't play for yourself. You can't play for a score. And a batsman like him who goes from ball one, we saw that first shot where he hit Luke Wood, the main strike bowler for Zalmi, for 4 over mid-wicket. He came out and put his stamp right in the. I know he only got 20 or 10 balls, but actually everyone said about Vakar scoring a 60. But for me, Naeem was the difference. He was the one who really threw the first punch and everyone jumped on his bandwagon. So he's got to just keep having that confidence to keep playing at that level, because a couple of failures for him mean that it shouldn't affect him, because he knows that he can have an impact which other players can't have on games.
Ruj, so much talk and conjecture around strike rates and dot ball percentages, especially when it comes to Pakistan players. There's always talk around that. But having found somebody like Mohammad Naeem, again, it might be premature, but just in terms of the talent that you've seen so far, your thoughts?
Yeah, impressive. I really like it, what we've seen on display. And for the first time, I think the HBLPSL has been slightly more of a glimmer of hope with local batters, young local batters. Khwaja Nafi saw it today. Hassan Nawaz, 3 games in a row when he's dug his team out of a tight position and just hasn't let go of his wicket, finished the game and come. And even Saim, for him, he's still earlier on in his, yes, he's made into national colours, but I still feel this has been a stepping stone for all of them. Naeem, fantastic. Good thing about Lahore Qalandars is that they still do whatever they feel like doing. Now, you and I and Cookie, the whole world will elaborate and we'll talk about what they say and how they say it. But one thing, they are stubborn and sometimes it's really good. Why? First 6 innings, Naeem was a failure. It was a disaster. Everyone was talking about put him on the bench. They tried Asif Ali one game at the top of the order. When they got going and they relented with Naeem, he got 25, 50, 65 and 22. Games at Lahore Qalandars won at the right time. And now that looks a very dangerous top order.
Absolutely. We're talking about the performance today from Lahore Qalandars and how it's been important. Now, we spoke about all those dropped catches, but we had a few good ones as well. Time to have a look at the safe hands for today.
Yeah, it was all Samad. You put Samad on one side, Abdul Samad, the 3 good takes, one very good one, and it felt like he was the only one who could spot the white ball up against the dark sky. This one I thought was brilliant. There was a lot of wind, it swirled, it went a huge way up in the air, and he eventually got a hold of it by the barest of his fingertips into a locked grip, but he held on. He took 3 of them. Third one also an easy one, straight down the throat, a big wicket. In the context, it was Babar Azam, and you really want to hold on, and he did just that.
All right, then Lahore Qalandars obviously very jubilant. They have managed to qualify for those playoffs. Peshawar Zalmi, for the first time in the HBLPSL history, have missed out on their chance for those playoffs. So plenty to reflect on and perhaps, just sort of look back and see where they went wrong. We'll be talking more about that after the short break. Back on pitch side, we're talking about Lahore Qalandars making it into those playoffs, but not to be for Peshawar Zalmi this time. Like we said, the first time that they'll be missing out in the HBLPSL history. They've always made it into the playoffs. So to talk more about where Peshawar Zalmi went wrong, I've now been joined by Dominic Cork and Martin Guptill. Great to have you back, Guppy, firstly. Corky, we'll talk about Peshawar Zalmi, but I just want to pick up on a point that you made about Mohammad Naeem from Lahore Qalandars.
Don't, because somebody in my ear will be saying don't mention it, but please mention it.
I will like to bring it up because at the start of the tournament, Mohammad Naeem was one of those players that, you sort of picked out and said, need to watch out for him.
Absolutely, and this is for you, Ian. You know what I'm talking about. You don't like me mentioning you on air, But literally, it wasn't something that I just plucked out. I spoke to the owners of the Lahore Qalandars, and they just said, look out for this man. They've invested a lot of time in him. They've sent him away to work on his game. He's been around the Qalandars for a while, and the first couple of games he struggled. And then since then, he's just got better and better. And he played an ideal role in that setting up that total. Because, okay, we're talking about Fakhar Zaman, but the way he went after Luke Wood, he's a powerful man, big, tall batter, something like he still does throughout his career, hit down the ground. So I was really pleased for him and pleased for the Kalandars, because it's not just about the big stars, it's about who the PSL and the HBLPSL, who they can actually unearth. And who is the next star, not just here, but pushing them into the national side as well. So I'm pleased he did well tonight, and hopefully he does well in that eliminator, whoever they take on.
Absolutely. Bright prospect then for Lahore Qalandars. From a Peshawar Zalmi point of view, they must be disappointed, Guppy, because they've always made it into the playoffs. They've always been a strong side in the HBLPSL history. But where do you think they've gone wrong? And just sum up their tournament so far.
It's sort of just everywhere, really, wasn't it? I mean, they didn't score enough runs. Their bowling was probably just a little bit below par on most of the occasions. So they just couldn't get that consistency going that they have had in the last couple of years. And it probably starts at the top. I mean, Bubba has been a little bit inconsistent. Saim Ayub, he hasn't had the same impact as he had in the last couple of years. So, they are two big players for them, two talismans in their side, and they haven't been able to have the same impact that they've had previously, and it's shown. The guys hadn't been able to pick up the slack in the batting, and they just haven't quite been able to get over the line.
Well, their bowling has been a concern, but also, like Guppy pointed out, their opening hasn't been that great, haven't been able to score a lot of runs, and we saw a bit of a mini collapse from them today as well. Time to have a look at the fall of wickets.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, he's trying to play the little ramp shot that he does, and he just sits back. He's going to try that no-look shot that he does sometimes. And in a way, he should copy some people in the past who just put the bails back on and got on with it. He didn't this time. And then just a strange innings, a strange shot. This one's just done by pace, Max Bryant. And I think then when you're in a run chase, you're then under the cosh, and that slingy delivery from Sikandar Raza gets rid of Babar Azam. And then they're just always against it. They'll pick up wickets because they need to get boundaries. And obviously Harris Ralph got that wicket. I think when you look at the way that they've played throughout this competition, Guppy was spot on. They just haven't been able to put runs on the board.
Koki, we spoke about the role of Harris Rauf and Shaheen Shah Afridi at the top, how important it's going to be in today's game. And how do you look at their performance today?
I thought Shaheen was a lot better today. Look, Shaheen Shah Afridi is a world-class bowler. I've watched him international level, domestic level, in England, here in the HBLPSL. When he's on form, he's one of the best left armers around in the world. He's just lost a little bit of swing. It's something that I think he can get back. But today, I thought he was better. He's got to lead the attack, and that's not always easy as a captain. With Harris Ralph, I just want to know what his role is. What is his role? And I'm going to speak to Shaheen Shah Afridi at the eliminator. I'm going to say, what is his role? We know he can bowl quick deliveries, but what is he looking to do? Is he looking to just bowl length? Is he looking to bowl Yorkers? Is he looking to be aggressive? Because I just think he needs to define what his role is. Because even at the end then, the match was won, he's still bowling length deliveries. You bowl length deliveries to Martin Guptill in his pomp, even now, it's not just going out the ground, it's going out of Pindi. And that's what he's just got to, he's an excellent bowler, and I'm not here to criticise. I know how hard it is on flat tracks, but I think he just needs to define what his role is. And I think once they get that definition, he shouldn't need to have it, he's an international bowler, but I just think if they can just reassess where they can get the best out of him, you'll see a better Harris Ralph. So I'm giving Shaheen Shah Afridi 7 out of 10. I'm giving Harris Ralph 6 out of 10. And underneath, when you get the teacher's report, need to improve.
All right. I love this little report card that we've done with Koki here. But I'll tell you who gets 10 upon 10, though. It's Salman Mirza. His first game in the HBLPSL. and he's also our player of the match.
Yeah, he was brilliant right from the outset, wasn't he? A bit of a lucky one there, Simon Ayub stepping on the stumps there, but these next two just a bit outdone by pace, weren't they? Max Bryant there, pretty much no idea what was happening there, and then just bowled straight, bowled at the stumps, and then they missed, he hit.
Well, great to see him performing. Guppy, you spoke about, how he's bowling, but just generally it's not easy when you're coming into your first game at the back end of the tournament. You're sort of thrown in the deep end and then you deliver like that.
Yeah, he did well. I mean, straight away you want to do well, and you want to put yourself out there for the team and make sure that you put in a good performance, and he did just that. He bowled with pace, used the two-pace nature of the wicket. The ball was going a little bit underground for a couple of his wickets, which he exploited very well, and we saw stumps flying everywhere. It was brilliant. It was great to watch, and very much needed for Lahore Qalandars tonight.
Guppy touched upon the opening pair for Peshawar Zalmi. We've seen over the years Simon Ayub and Babar bat together as well, but this time Babar sort of moved one down. But even their bowling, Koki, it's been, they've been conceding over 200 runs consistently. Like we saw that yesterday and a couple of other games as well, actually.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at teams, why they don't qualify, or perhaps while they're in, like the Kalandars in the 4th position, and even Islamabad, because they're not just hitting their straps, not doing the basic things right. Luke Wood has been excellent. Remember, he was only a replacement at one stage and was only supposed to be there for the first half, and then he replaced George Linde, who had to go home. If they wouldn't have had him, they'd have been even in more trouble. So it's getting the consistency as a bowling unit, setting your plans, and being able to. And I think that's one thing I would say to any team who's going to win this competition. Whoever team it is, whether it's Gladiators, Karachi Kings, whether it's Islamabad United or Kalandars, they've got to be able to finish off when they're bowling, whether they are setting or whether they are defending. Because for me, I'm seeing far too many length balls. I'm seeing far too much variation at times. And we saw it today. When you bowl a Yorker, why not try and bowl another one? Why do you have to go to this pace-off delivery? And I don't know whether it's the bowling coaches or the coaches saying it. Stick to the actual basics of the game. If the batter can't hit you, just stick to it. And to me, I think whoever gets that early enough in the playoffs will go and win the competition.
Absolutely. We've seen that traditionally as well in the HBLPSL, that teams with the strongest bowling unit have managed to get hold of that trophy. Now, time for another break. We'll be back just in a bit. Welcome back on Pitchside, and these are your 4 teams that have qualified for the playoffs. Quetta Gladiators right at the top. They've been the team in form. Karachi Kings, a much improved side from last year on number 2. But remember that it's all in the mix in terms of those positions, because we've got a game on tomorrow as well. And there's still some permutations with regards to who finishes where. But one thing we know is that the 4 spots have been sealed, and Zelmi and Multan Sultans are pretty much out. Yeah, we're talking about this table, Corky. Still plenty to play for tomorrow's game.
Well, there is, and I don't like to correct you because you are normally absolutely precise, but the game is later today, not tomorrow.
All right.
Yes, it's 1:45 in the morning, if you don't know, and we've got a little game in a few hours.
Well,
sorry, I just wanted to mention that at 1:45 in the morning. It's a massive game for a lot of reasons, because you've got a chance of going into the top 2. Islamabad United, if I'm right, and Mazza, the stats man, you better be listening. I know you're listening, Mazza. You're up there listening. Islamabad United have to win by 50 runs or have to chase them down in round about 14 overs. So they've got a chance of overtaking Karachi Kings. at the moment, you say the Karachi Kings are in prime place. So it looks like it's going to be Gladiators, Kings, top two. Eliminator looks like it's going to be Islamabad United, one of his old teams, against the Kalandars.
All right, so like we said, plenty of action lined up for you. I'll tell you what, one thing has been absolutely phenomenal in Rawalpindi, and that is the crowd. We've had great numbers throughout, and what we love about that crowd is the energy that it brings and the fact that they're so involved within the game itself. Time to have a look at the refreshing moments of the day.
Just saw my hand on camera then. I was just saying this is a fantastic catch. I was getting so excited at 1:45 in the morning. You just watch this. You watch this crowd go, and the challenge to me is, can this crowd turn up tomorrow?
All right, tomorrow is the last game that we have here in Rawalpindi. I'm going to say not tomorrow, tonight, later, because I've been corrected by Koki.
Sorry.
In a few hours' time, we will be seeing at 7:20 p.m. It's Islamabad United versus Karachi Kings. Karachi versus Islamabad. Your pick.
Interesting.
Your pick. Just think about it. Just think about it. Give us your thoughts. You have an affiliation with, of course, Islamabad.
With both teams.
Yeah, with both
Yeah,
teams, exactly. We've seen you for both teams, so yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Karachi. You know, they're bit of a hot team at the moment. They played well the other night, and they've got a bit of momentum.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Karachi. I just think they've just got something going. I think they've obviously led well by David Warner. Vince is in great form. Islamabad are coming off a bit of a slump, so I'm going to say the Kings are going to be in the second place, Islamabad third, Kalandars fourth. Come on tonight, can't wait.
Well, your prediction today came right as well.
Well, I didn't want to say that. Was Alistair Cook wrong? Oh, there's a shame.
All right, thank you so much for your thoughts, gentlemen. It's always great to have you guys on Pitside, and we'll be seeing you later on tonight. I'm emphasizing tonight. Remember, it's going to be in a couple of hours' time. I hope you guys enjoyed today's coverage. Pindi's been absolutely fantastic. We love the crowd here, love the energy, and there's plenty to play for tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us.